Hey guys, my name is Samantha, Sammy, Sam, whatever you guys want to call me. I run the sshawauthor account on Instagram, and from a recent poll I posted on my story, you guys said that you would like to see me do an IGTV video of like some of the bookish things I talk about on my posts. And I thought I would go ahead and try that, and that way I could be a little bit more personable with you guys, where I could talk to you guys and you could see my face and you can hear me and whatnot. And I want to keep this just pretty casual. I'm not going to do a bunch of edits on this or whatever. I just want to talk to you guys like just talking to you guys in person. And forgive me if this is a little awkward. This is about the 4th time I've tried to record this. So either way, I wanted to tell you guys thank you, because the community that I have found in this Bookstagram, I started it about May of this year, that I started like really putting a lot of effort into it, making posts and trying to like get my thoughts and opinions out there. And I just appreciate the feedback that I've gotten from you guys, just getting to know you guys, and you guys interacting with me and responding to me, and just genuinely wanting to hear my opinion on things. I want to thank you for that, and it makes me feel like I have a little Bookstagram family, so I appreciate it, and I hope we can continue to grow. So I wanted to thank you. But either way, I figured I would talk about some of my favorite horror novels, since that's kind of my brand, my thing that I really like. And I say some because I have a lot of favorites, and it took a lot to narrow it down, especially since I'm limited on time for these. So I just wanted to pick out ones that are really my stand out. I really love these books, and I tried to go with a little bit of variety, try to switch it up on what each book is about. But I have a tendency to really like the supernatural side of horror. All of these books incorporate something supernatural, or kind of not necessarily fantasy based, but there's ghosts or magic or something like that. And so that's kind of my favorite aspect of horror. So I wanted to share my favorites from those. So if you have followed me for any amount of time, you know that this one isn't really going to be a surprise. It is The Elementals by Michael McDowell. I love this book. I've read it probably about 5 times. I'll probably read it a 6th this year. And it's just something that sat with me for a really long time. The first time I found it, I was just blown away and couldn't stop reading it. I actually even have part of one of the cover editions tattooed on me. So it basically covers 2 families, 2 wealthy families in Alabama that decide to go on vacation after the matriarch of one of the families passes away. And they go to this kind of isolated sandbar in the middle of Mobile Bay called Beldam, where they have 3 Victorian beach homes, and grand Victorian beach homes. And the 2 of them belong to the families, but there is a 3rd one that is unoccupied that they call the 3rd house, and is being slowly overtaken by sand, and it is going into decay and whatnot. And one of the family members, India, who lives out of town primarily and doesn't normally stay in Alabama, and she's pretty much there just for the vacation and the funeral, and she becomes really fascinated by the 3rd house, and then just a bunch of weird shit starts happening. But basically, it's atmospheric, the characters are intriguing, and at times this book is really funny, but when the horror picks up, it really picks up. And I think about the ending to this book all the time. It's scary as hell, and I don't know how the horror world was sleeping on this guy. Michael McDowell actually wrote the screenplay for Beetlejuice. He wrote quite a number of books, and he was friends with Stephen and Tabitha King. So it's surprising to me that I never got to hear about him before Valancourt Publishing like kind of brought him back up to the forefront. And so I want to thank you guys for that, because this is easily one of my favorites. Anyway, now that I'm done gushing about that, I have two on my tablet here for just picture references, because I read them on Audible, and I don't have physical copies of them, but I hope to change that pretty soon. And so this one is called And the Trees Crept In by John Kurtagich. So I really love Dawn's style of writing. I think her brand of horror just really resonates with the kind of stuff that I like, and I've just always really been impressed with her work. And then thankfully by the power of the internet, I've been able to talk with her, and I can consider her an acquaintance. I think she's a really nice person, and it's really awesome to be able to read her work, but then also like get to know the person. And so essentially this book, and forgive me, it's been a while since I read it, so the names escape me, but either way, it's about two girls that end up leaving their house to like find sanctuary at their aunt's house in like a big house in the middle of nowhere. And they are going there for like safety purposes, but it winds up kind of becoming unhinged, and they start to feel as though they are in danger, because it seems that the forest that is surrounding the house is slowly creeping in, hence the name, and this monster known as the Creeper Man is closing in and is going to get them. And I really loved this book because it mixed some of my favorite things about books, that like it had the really creepy haunted house feel, and it had the like the supernatural like monster entity, that like, you know, just the eeriness and like the tenseness of it like closing in on you. But then it also had like psychological elements, and like the psychological deterioration, and how it's messing, like the scary things are messing with the character's psyche, and then also kind of like dealing with like what's in their head, what's not in their head, and the things like that. And I just really loved this book. And the audiobook is horrifying. When I was reading it for the first time and I was listening to it, it has music, it's like very dramatic reading, everything. My husband walked into the room and I jumped because it scared me, because I've been so invested in this book. But either way, great read, and I recommend it. And this next one is called Lark by Adam Vine. And this is a unique one because I had actually never heard of this book until Audible recommended it to me. And this one is modern and very very modern and very like, I don't want to say realistic because there's still supernatural elements to it, but it's just very grounded in like today's day and age sort of thing. And it's about a college kid named Drew that lives with his roommates and has a bunch of college friends, and they live in a big old house in California where they party all the time, and there's a bunch of drinking and smoking and video games and whatnot. They're having a grand old time, and there is a cellar like underneath the house that has a bunch of stuff, like a junk of people that used to live there. And they find a box of Polaroid pictures that have like pictures of like the people that used to live there in it. And what's weird is the more Drew starts to investigate them, they start changing, whereas they're showing like depictions of the same people that were in the pictures, but they're older now. Or even some of the pictures change to like him and his friends. And it's a really strange take on it because it has like a mix between like the supernatural of like what's going on with these pictures, and then there's a very realistic threat like thrown in there. But then like you're also talking with a very unreliable and quite frankly psychologically unstable narrator that it's really interesting to see like these stressors that are being put on his world, and like what's going on, and like how it is affecting him as a person. And it's a book that resonates with me, and it's kind of been stuck in my head for a long time. There's still songs that I hear that I was listening to while reading it that immediately bring me back to that book, and it was disturbing. And it left me thinking about it for a really long time, and it was an awesome read. So I got 2 more here. Let's try to hurry through these. This is a classic, Carrie by Stephen King, and I'm not sure I really even need to tell you guys what this is about. You know, the girl that's bullied has supernatural powers and, you know, lashes out at the school. But it continues to be one of my favorites because the thing I love about Stephen King's writing is that he is, no matter how short or how long the story is, all the characters are very fleshed out, and there's a lot of depth to them. There's a lot of, like, you wind up understanding their motives and like the deep psychological stuff, and like even in the villains, like the thing that interests me most about this book is just the relationship between Carrie and her mother, and how there's like it's kind of weird where like obviously she's not a good person, but then like she has like these weird good motives behind it, and I'm endlessly interested in like the anti-hero or like the scarily redeemable villains. And then also it's crazy to be rooting for somebody that is literally burning their school down. It's a weird book, but to be honest, for it being Stephen King's first, it's impressive that how much this holds up. And then, I mean, the movie renditions, I actually really like the rendition that had Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore in it. I really liked that version. And my last one is actually another John Kernigich book. It's Teeth in the Mist. This is her newest one. And I honestly need to reread this because it's dense. There's a lot to it. And when I say dense, I don't mean like it's hard to follow. It's just there's a lot of detail. And I enjoyed every bit of this, but I blew through it because I couldn't stop reading it. So it basically follows 3 girls in different time periods, and they're all connected because a man at the beginnings of time made a very unholy pact with the devil, and like the repercussions of this mountain and the house that resides on it is essentially unholy land, and how these girls all grapple with it, and like it has magic and fantasy, and it's really atmospheric, incredibly scary. Literally has to do with devil things. And it's a kind of a creative retelling of the Faustus story, and I was completely and utterly engrossed in this story, and this is probably going to be another reread for me this year because I just want to make sure I got all the details. And I believe there's a sequel coming, and I really can't wait to read it. So anyway, those are my favorites that I've narrowed down. I have plenty more I could talk about, but those were just kind of the ones that really stick out with me whenever you ask me, like, if you had to read one horror novel, what would it be? And it would be like anything in that stack. So I wanted to thank you guys for showing up, and just let me know if you want to see any more of these.